you know what I say to people? I've lived in India. And to me, it felt like a year. It was more like, oh my gosh, like my eyes were wide open.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, I'm on another planet. This is extraordinary. How exciting. Wow. It just showed me what a tiny little world that I'd been living in, and boom, everything else, it was all up for grabs. So the only time I felt a little bit put upon was getting into those really crammed buses. Do you know what stands out in my mind is gulab jamun, ek do teen char panch. I was like, that was so pathetically basic, right? Yeah, yes. I love the chai.
Samantha Graham went to work in India when she was a 21-year-old. Now, 34 years later, she still remembers the noise, colors, happy faces, street foods, crowded buses, and the friends she made there. It was a life-changing experience, she says. Here is the story of a middle-class girl from Sydney who undertook this incredible journey to a country she had never thought she would go to and end up loving so much. Hi, Samantha.
Hi.
Hi. It's so good to have you here. So we could start off with, if you could tell me a bit about yourself first.
Well, my name's Samantha Graham. I most recently have been working on Nicolette Buller's campaign, one of several community-backed independents. Her seat, the seat that we were contesting, helping Nicolette contest, was Bradfield against the incumbent Minister for Cities, Urban Infrastructure, Communications and the Arts, Paul Fletcher. My day job before, when I'm not trying to get community independence up, I run a company called State of Mind, and it's a leadership development and leadership development training company for helping senior executives in their teams become more effective, more productive, more resilient.
Right. Okay, so you're helping people build up their confidence and move forward. That's excellent.
Yeah, and reconnect body, mind, and breath. Really.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you lived in Australia all your life, or?
Well, I grew up in Australia, and I came from a family that did a fair bit of travel. We were very lucky, but not to, it was mainly back to Wales. My mum is Welsh.
Okay.
And then her brother moved to Scotland. So it was always sort of those Celtic countries.
Right.
And a little bit around the Pacific, but mainly, English-speaking countries where we had originated from.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. So do you like traveling?
Very much. Yes.
Very much.
Yes. I absolutely grew up with a family that, a mother in particular, who just thought it was such a fabulous education to take my brothers and myself with my dad. The five of us would do quite a lot of travel. Yeah. They were doctors, and my father was often reporting back on research. So he would do research, and so we'd be sort of dragged along to these conferences, in a good way.
Yeah. Always good to travel, right? Yeah. And now, how about now? Do you travel often?
The truth is, I live in Scotland now, and I'm just back in Australia for 8 weeks for this election campaign, because I felt so strongly that we needed to change something with this government. The past government, I can happily say now, being 3 days into the new Labor and independent government. Mm-hmm. So yes, I live in Scotland. I came back for the election. Just because of COVID, haven't had a lot of chance in the last couple of years, as most of us have not. Yeah.
Yes. So how did this India trip come about?
Okay, look, the India trip was just mind-blowing and so serendipitous and exceptional. It was, I left school in 1984. I did 3 years at university. It was just a straight up boring as commerce degree, something I regret. But on the other hand, I came out of commerce And there was this group called ISEC, the International Association. It's a French acronym, the International Association for Students of Economics and Commerce, ISEC. And so in the end of my third year, I applied for this ISEC exchange. And what they do is they matched students from all around the world who wanted to travel and work in business and who had just recently graduated with companies around the world that wanted to have a trainee. And there was this amazing matching process. And you just put yourself forward, and you could have been allocated anywhere in the world. And somebody was off to Sweden, and somebody else to Norway, and Canada, and my name got pulled out of that, sort of metaphorically speaking, and it was to Bombay at the time. Bombay. I was like, I knew virtually nothing. I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be incredible. And I'd been matched up with a company there, Carrier Air Conditioners. Yes, so big company in Bombay. And am I allowed to call it Bombay? I feel bad calling it that.
Yeah, it's called Mumbai. Yeah,
now, yes.
It's now called Mumbai.
That's right. So I'm sort of referring historically to what I was calling it then. Yes. So that was 1988, and it honestly changed my life. I met so many amazing people there, both Indian people who looked after me and were studying at the same time and were part of ISEC over there in Mumbai, and also other students who had traveled from the Netherlands, from America.
Okay.
Yeah,
it was a wonderful experience. How long did you stay there?
You know what I say to people, I've lived in India, and to me it felt like a year, because every day felt like 3 weeks. Do you know that the intensity of a day in Mumbai is
yes, so much happening all the time, right?
Yeah, from when you wake up to when you go to bed, the number of experiences you can have, it's just mind-blowing. So the truth of it is I stayed there, I was for 4 months, but it felt like a year, and it felt like it changed me, forever.
Yes, so it was not tourism. You didn't go there to visit India. You went and stayed, worked and stayed there.
Yes.
So there's a big difference.
Yeah. And we were put up in different families' homes. Okay. And I have to remember along the necklace, Nariman Point.
Yes, correct.
And then taking the bus along to, so we were working in Nariman Point, and the house was in Malabar. Is Malabar Hill?
Yes.
Yes. The house was sort of under reconstruction, so it was sort of kind of half complete. And
okay.
Yeah, it was a lovely family.
Okay. Yeah. So it was a different culture, different. Everything must have been so different. How did it feel like when you landed? Reached Mumbai. What was the experience? What did you first think of the country? Were you going to survive? Did you think?
Yeah, it was more like, oh my gosh, like my eyes were wide open. It was the plane in those days. I seem to remember it was a Qantas flight, and I feel like we got in at about 2 or 3 a.m. I could be wrong, but it was like really middle of the morning. And all the boys, I was going to say the boys, they were mainly guys in ISEC, came to meet me at this crazy hour, and they had garlands, and then they drove me back to where I was staying, and it gives me goosebumps talking about it. So Pankaj and oh my gosh, I'm going to forget their names, and I want to say Samudra and Kalol, and they were just the funniest, warmest, loveliest young men. And they had this process down where they would welcome the people who were coming to ISEC and give us inductions and introduce us to the other travelers. And so my first experience was the heat. It was 2 or 3 a.m. but the heat and the lots of people sleeping along the roadways as we drove from the airport into town. Yeah. And I just remember thinking, I'm on another planet. This is extraordinary. How exciting. Wow. and just being very grateful. It's like, oh gosh.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it must have been, was it summer sometime in
Let me think about that. So I had to save up to go. And so I had a job at First State 88, which was in New South Wales, celebration of the centenary of the state. And that was First State 88. So then I headed off. I think it was May, June, July, August.
Okay.
Yeah.
Must have been very humid.
The humidity
monsoon would
was,
be around. Yes.
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Oh,
And
wow.
the smells, the sights, everything, you know, for just
Yes.
little white middle class girl from, you know, Sydney. It was fabulous. It was,
Right.
what it did was it gave me instantly just, I don't mean this unkindly to myself. It just put me in my place. It just showed me what a tiny little world that I'd been living in, and boom, everything else, it was all up for grabs.
Yeah. And the family, they welcomed you, and they how did you find your first meeting with the new family?
Yes, look, it was they had quite a lot of ISEC exchange students, so it wasn't like I was novel for them or anything.
Right.
It was like, this is your room and this is where you'll be, and welcome, and this we can help you get here, and these buses, and you know, it was just very, very practical and very very nice. It was actually I met, there was a yoga studio. This sounds really what do I mean? Like, it was the real deal. 3 sisters ran a yoga studio just down the road, and the mum at the house showed me down there, and I started doing some yoga with these 3 sisters, and that was the start of a long love affair with yoga, with real yoga, not yoga in a gymnasium, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand. Oh, it must have been so different, because I live here in Australia, and I can see the difference in the cities, the transport, and the pollution. What do I say? The crowds, the lack of crowds here. It's such a difference. It must have meant a big deal. Yeah, it must have meant something really big.
There's so many contrasts, so that the spaciousness that we might have in Sydney compared to the just incredible density and intensity of people, of public transport, of the noise, the smells. I really got the hang of the street food. And to my peril once, I had something not so good one day, but I just didn't stop me. It was just so wonderful to be engaging with people in the streets and trying everything that the locals were eating. And
yes. Mumbai vada pav is very famous. It's a potato patty in between 2 breads, slices of breads, or buns or something like that. Did you?
I don't remember that one so much. No.
Okay.
No. Do you know what stands out in my mind is gulab jamun?
Oh, of course.
That's crazy. And the kulfi, and gosh, what else? It'll come to me while we're talking.
All right. Yeah, the food will be a big thing, because in restaurants in Australia, you don't get the actual food that we have in India, right? It's so different. It must be so different. And the food at the house that you lived in, did they serve Marathi food? Do you know if that was?
Do you know, I don't honestly remember having a lot of meals at the house. We would eat because I was at work during the day, and I would eat with the secretary who managed my role, Roshan Kapadia. Her name was Roshan Kapadia. She was a beautiful woman, and she would find us food for lunch, and then we would meet each other. We would meet, like I would meet Victor was from the Netherlands, and Bob from the States, and Kalol was a local, and we would go out for dinner, and I can't quite picture breakfast. What would we have had for breakfast? I'm picturing a banana.
So did you go around anywhere else from Bombay? Did you go out anywhere?
Yes, we did. went to Hyderabad and to Pune and Goa in sort of that tourism travel sort of way. And then we did a big trip up to Rajasthan and to Jodhpur, Jaipur, and around there. The caves, where are the beautiful caves?
Yes, Laura.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
And I want to say Agra and to the Taj Mahal, and yeah, that was about it. We were working quite hard. We didn't have that much travel time.
Oh, but you seem to have seen a lot.
Yeah. We took a bit of a chunk of time before leaving. Yes.
Yes. So, what did you like?
Oh gosh. What did I like? I mean, it was all so intriguing and interesting, and the Mughal history and the I had no understanding of the history of any of it growing up in Australia, nothing. So starting to learn about that. You know what really stood out for me in Mumbai? The guys took me to the Natural History Museum, and there was some fantastic talks every night. One night of the week, every week, one night, there were these wonderful talks at the Natural History Museum in Mumbai, and it was a field I had never touched, having a commerce degree. That really woke me up to the state of the planet and the interconnectedness of ecosystems, and looking at the history of, the importance of functioning ecosystems. And yeah, it was just a real eye-opener. I remember that Natural History Museum there. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. But you have seen a lot of different geographies in India. I mean, if you have been to Goa, it is one kind and then to Rajasthan, where it's all sands and those beautiful forts that were built so long ago. And the color, did you find it very colorful?
Yes, the color's extraordinary. And I just remember standing on the rooftop of the little place we were staying up in Jodhpur, and the color, the red, and then the little fairy lights decorating the tops of the little houses around, and the sounds coming up to you, and the big skies, and more spaciousness there. And then the thrill of riding camels with the our friends, and camping out under the stars, the Thar Desert. It was extraordinary. And the artisans and the craftsmanship, and the whether it was extraordinary rugs or chess pieces so beautifully made, or the shoes, the jewelry, the clothing. It was all just completely mind-blowing.
Yeah, these are all small-scale industries, right? They just work with their hands, whatever they can make. Yes, it's so pretty, so beautiful.
Yes,
unbelievable.
Yeah.
And did you have the chai street?
Yeah. Yes. I love the chai. And the chai is, you just can't get it in Australia the way it tastes there.
No, it's different, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And did you travel in local transport, like trains?
Yes. That was challenging, I've got to say, because we were so packed in. Even the ride along the necklace. Remind me, what's it called? The Queen's or the Princess?
Queen's necklace?
Queen's necklace?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
So I'd jump on the bus every morning to get from one end of the necklace to the other. And I've got to say, you just needed to.
It's tough. I know, it's very tough.
I had to defend myself a little bit, nope.
Yes, exactly. So how was it? As a woman, was it difficult only on the transport or any other way?
Look, I think I was sufficiently naive and confident in, like, I walk with the confidence, and I'm not somebody who's meek. I think if you were meek, you might send out a different signal. So the only time I felt a little bit put upon was getting into those really crammed buses.
Right.
The trains weren't as bad, and then I'd be traveling with a male friend, so that was okay. By and large, it was I just figured it was par for the course. I'm a white woman and I'm crammed in public transport. It's like, okay, I've just got to get to work.
Yeah, it happens, I suppose. Yeah.
It's not something I think about or anything,
Yeah. It didn't stand out. I mean, it didn't have much of an effect on your journey in India.
It didn't traumatize me. No.
No, good to hear that. And did you come across the difference in cultural and linguistic diversity of India, like the different languages they speak? Could you pick up anything?
Look, Ecto Tin Cha Punch. I was like, that was so pathetically basic, right? And I thought I could try to learn some Hindi, or the truth of it was so overwhelming on so many sense levels, that I don't mean doing well, but I was happy just to get through each day and be working in a foreign culture. The work was interesting. The guys, and I mean guys as in males, I'm not using that term loosely, who were on ISEC exchanges from Sweden and America and the Netherlands, the jobs that they got were a bit more proper than like the job I got. I think I was sort of in sales and marketing with air carrier, aircon, and it was that, put it this way, the men that were given jobs that challenged them more, and my role was sort of seen as a little bit like, yeah, just have the experience of being in India, which was okay. There was a little bit of sort of actual commercial work, but not a whole lot.
Okay. So you came across a lot of different kinds of people in India. Did you make out the difference in the religious diversity? Did you see anything that was that you liked? There's Hindus and Muslims and Sikhs, Buddhists. What did you think of the different kind of religions that you saw?
Yeah, so you asked about the linguistic diversity and the religious diversity, and I didn't really answer that. It was such a when I would stand on the street and just watch people going past in all their different whether it was Sikh or Hindu or Buddhist, and I would just be going, oh my gosh, the diversity here is extraordinary. And linguistically, I could start to hear some of the differences, but to actually drop in, I remember thinking it would be so difficult to learn the complexity of this culture if you didn't grow up in it. I just remember thinking all the beautiful traditions of the various gods and the various festivals and the various outfits and prayers, and it seemed just a simple, sort of mono-dimensional Australian. The complexity and the richness of the tapestry of all of those cultures and the languages was just mind-blowing and stunning. And it did make me think you would have to have a lifetime here to even start to unpack the complexity and the relationships between the various religions and the evolution of the languages. I mean, it was staggering, really. Yes,
it's so nice. Which was the year? This is
1988.
1988. Okay. So
yeah,
yes,
21.
Yes, and that is when India was really really nice and, peaceful. I remember 1988 as oh yes, I was very young. And it was really peaceful, yes. Uh, have you kept up with what is happening in India now, how it is changing, or do you feel it has changed in any way?
Do you know, I can't say I have kept up very well at all. No. It's some sort of major turning points I've paid some attention, but I definitely can't say that. No, no. Which I regret. I have a 15-year-old son, and I would very much like to take him, and my husband. So we've actually been talking about that recently, just because of the contextualizing of one's life. When you step into India, you just everything is put in its proper place in some ways. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just makes you feel as small as you should feel in a humbling way. It's humbling. Yeah.
Yes, you're a very ordinary person. You suddenly realize that.
Yeah.
There's so much going on around you. There's so much life. What am I? I'm the most unimportant person.
Yes, in a good way, in a healthy way, in a
healthy way.
oh
Absolutely.
wow, I see I have a very small place here, and let me see how I can fit into this bigger picture.
Yes, yes. So that must have been, yes, a very, very moving experience for you. Yeah.
Yes, and I tell you what else, it made me very grateful. I felt incredibly grateful just to have been there, but also to have the amenities that we take for granted in Australia, like to turn on the tap and just drink the water, and to have the food that we have and that we probably many of us don't think about very much. It just made me grateful, in a what do I mean? It's a reminder. It's like a benchmark that my whole life can be measured against, because I was there when I was 21.
A very impressionable age.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That's excellent. And what did you do for entertainment? Did you go out and watch films? What did you do?
Yes, we did. We did films, and that Natural History Museum had films, and the boys would take us to their favorite places for dinner, and butter chicken we all loved. And oh gosh, sometimes they'd organize little gatherings between the host ISEC crew and whoever was in town from their overseas countries. And they had this thing, they call it the hash run, the Hash House Harriers. It's actually expats, and anywhere in the world they gather, and they're runners. And so it's a funny club of people who are in any city that like running. So strange things like that we were introduced to. And then there was the I know what was it? It's called the Bombay Mumbai Cricket Club or something like that.
Yes, there is a Mumbai Cricket Club. Yes.
Yes, I think they had a swimming pool that we went to a few times.
Okay.
It was sort of a place to cool off. And we'd do little trips, always wanting to see, local tourist attractions that weren't too far out of town. So we'd get ourselves around.
Did you get to see any festivals? Because in India, there's always a festival sometime, every time there's a festival on somewhere.
Yes, we did. And there were a couple that I'm just trying to think where we were, you're going to have to help me out in that period of time.
Diwali, did you?
I was going to say Diwali. Yeah, Diwali. Yes.
Diwali, yeah, because that's the lights. Lots of lights and firecrackers.
Firecrackers,
and they light candles and
yes.
Yeah, we call it.
It's so intense. Oh my goodness.
Yes. Do you really want to go there once again and you just live it again?
Yes, I would love to. I'd really like my 15-year-old to come, and I don't know. And how, to what extent do you try to curate the experience, and to what extent do you just drop yourself in there and see what happens, which is sort of the way I did it in a way.
Yes, yes. You had no idea what you are going to face. But now I think you know, so you can make a choice. You can study about it. Thanks to the internet, you can just figure out, which other places you want to visit. Like Kerala here is wonderful.
That's exactly where I'd like to go. It sounds extraordinary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
South, and you can just stay on a boat and just go down the lagoons. So yeah, there are lots of places and lots of experiences still to get from India,
Totally. And I understand Kerala has a seriously high education level. Out of the whole country, it's the most, that must be an interesting reason to visit alone.
I think so. I think so. I come from Bengal, West Bengal, so from Calcutta. So yes, I hope you go there as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. We have a small city, not very small. Calcutta is pretty hot, humid. Go there in winter if you like.
Good idea. Yes.
Yeah. But Kerala would be definitely a very, very nice place to visit. I hope you like it.
And I know I do have some friends who go to Ayurvedic treatment centers to try to restore the balance that Ayurveda does so beautifully.
So thank you very much, Samantha, for agreeing to be on our show on this web chat. I hope you visit India once again, and I'm so glad you loved it, and I'm so glad you have such fond memories after so many years of India. It's really very, very nice to have talked to you.
Thank you so much. I'm privileged to be speaking with you and to be remembering all of those extraordinary experiences back in '88 that really have changed my life. So thank you. Yeah.